So anyway, a big welcome to New Horizons and welcome back to Rob B, who tonight will be developing some of the fascinating issues that he referred to in his last presentation. Rob will be addressing the topic of the Dignity Alliance, a potentially revolutionary movement that aims to empower us all in the face of increasing control from the so-called elite. And we'll be focusing to some extent on how they are manipulating the truth about fracking. The Dignity Alliance aspires to represent the voice of the majority who've come to realise that politics and the world of international commerce no longer listens to us nor serves us. We've been reduced to being nothing more than useful assets by corporations who are not only above common justice but appear to be controlling the justice system and its mechanisms for their own ends. At the foundation of the Alliance is the opening sentence of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which asserts that the recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice and peace in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob B.
Wow. Is that okay? Can you hear me okay? Wow. Right, thanks so much for inviting us along again, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's, some of you come a good distance to be here tonight, so thank you. I know some of you have come a good distance to be here tonight. I'll try and slow down my accent, my strong Wigan accent. What we'll do is, so you don't think it's just one big fat ugly Scottish bloke talking nonsense, right? What we've decided to do is there's two of the other founders of the team of founders we have of this Dignity Alliance, and I'll give them time on the stage so they can present what they want from the Dignity Alliance. You'll see that it's not just me and my ideas. I don't own this, it's owned by all of us, and you know, we welcome other people's input as well to what you want this to do and where we take it. So who wants to go first? So just this is Wigan Day.
Hello. I'm not used to doing this sort of thing, so I have got some notes, but it won't take very long. Fracking, because I know it does affect us all. Where are these problems coming from? I know that, as I said, fracking is a big problem, but there's an awful lot more problems than just that. And for me personally, what I've identified is that a lot of our problems are coming from our so-called local authorities. I'll not spend too much time on this, but we have our councils and courts, police, bailiffs, laws, everything that they use against us. It shouldn't be used against us, but it is. And I'm watching as the local authority introduces more and more outrageous ideas. I suppose they're trying to convince us these are for our own good. A couple of examples of what they've been doing near me is I read the local paper, I see what's going on in the courts, and I see that one guy got taken to court for leaving his bin out too long. Someone else left a black bag beside a bin, they went to court. Some people have taken their kids on holiday, take them to court, fine them. And the most outrageous one I've just seen is an 87-year-old woman who fed a pigeon. So for this outrageous act, they tried to take her to court. So what's behind what they're doing basically is they want our money. They always want our money. And now we know they're moving into fracking, they're authorising the fracking. They can poison our water, but it's okay because they'll make a lot of money out of it. So all those, what I talked about, the council, the court, the police, the bailiff, the government, these, we call them, we use these names, and it seems to legitimise them and what they're doing. Well, I don't think what they're doing is legitimate. They seem to be one big gang, and all these are different branches and different arms of the same gang. But they're very organised, so we have no chance, really, of getting what we want, which is very reasonable. We're not against anything. We're not saying we don't want to pay you any money. We just want to know where our money's going and it to be a sensible amount. We all pay our council tax, it costs us thousands. Where's it all going? I think it's reasonable to ask. But they're all well set up and we never get anywhere. And they don't listen to us. But we can learn something from these people because they're so organised. We need to do the same thing. Because at the moment, we're all just sending our letters in. We turn up to court. We tell them what the problem is. It's all there in black and white. And one guy says, no, I don't believe you. I'm not going with you. I'm going with the council. I'm going with whoever. So we need to get organised as well. And what we've come up with is the Dignity Alliance. And it'll work by bringing all of us and all our individual voices together, which is what we've been lacking. We've got knowledge. We know that we're right in most cases and they're wrong. But we're up against an organised team, so we need to be an organised team. We need to have branches of people. This could be a branch, everyone who comes here. And they'll be structured, we'll be organised, we'll have professional people as well as all those keen amateurs as well. And we'll all come together and hopefully these vampires, we can shine some sunlight on these people. We're not against them all, there's some good ones, but the ones who are the vampires are the ones we need to hold to account. So the Dignity Alliance, this needs to spread all over this country. We need everyone signed up. We need everyone telling everyone what we're going to do. Now, the mechanics of how this is going to work, Rob is better placed to tell you about the mechanics of how it's going to work. But I hope that people agree there is, I think we all agree in this room anyway, that there is a need for this. We've got nothing. It was only today that Rob pointed us towards a video from a guy in America. They've been doing something like this for a while, influencing the local community for their benefit. That's what we need. Hopefully, Rob, that's all I need for set. Hopefully, if you can come up here and tell people a bit more about how it works and tell them exactly how we plan on holding these people to account. So.
Is that a bit loud? I'm coming at this from a slightly different angle. I read a little bit of history, not a great deal, not what you would sort of read in school history books. But if I can take you, well, probably can't take you back, but you may have heard of a guy called Winston Churchill and another guy, David Lloyd George, another David, and the Prime Minister, who was, I think was called Asquith at the time, 1905 this was, and they insisted that, the Liberal Party at the time insisted that they were going to start pensions for people. Now, these pensions weren't for everybody, they were only for a certain few, but everybody who paid tax was going to contribute towards it. And it was only a halfpenny, whether any of you remember an old halfpenny. It was only a halfpenny out of a man's wage, but this was going to be towards like a national insurance scheme. Now, they couldn't get this through the House of Lords. The House of Lords said, no, people can't afford this, a halfpenny. Or it might not seem a lot of money to us now, which is perhaps about a quarter of 1p. But they said that the people can't afford it. So they said no, and rejected it. Now, the reason they rejected it was because the Lords was one of the checks and balances against the Commons' dictatorship. One of the Commons could write laws, but they used to have checks and balances, and one of them was the Lords, and the other one was the monarch. Now, the Lords turned around and said, no, we're not having this. We can't force our people to hand over a halfpenny every week. So you'll have to take it back and think about it again, or rewrite it again. Now, the man Asquith, who was Prime Minister at the time, he then went to the Lords, or the leader of the Lords, and said, you don't pass this bill, I will create 500 new Lords, and we'll vote you out of existence. So the Lords backed down, and they passed it. So then it went to the monarch, and the monarch, he said, no, sorry, People can't afford this. It's an awful lot of money. They can't afford it. So then they had to wait and wait and wait, and eventually the monarch died. And they got a new monarch. A bit green behind the ears, perhaps not as wise as his, I think it was his brother actually, the old king, or the dead king. So they said to this new king that the old king was going to sign this into law. And if you do that, everything's fine. People will be getting a pension. Not everybody will be getting a pension, only a certain few will be getting a pension. And we can perhaps guess who these people were who would be getting a pension. Perhaps parliamentarians. So anyway, he signed and it all went through fine. So what had happened, in effect, was that the Commons had overridden 2 checks and balances. And they've been doing it ever since. As far as finance is concerned, they can do virtually whatever they want. No matter who the government is, whether it's Labour, Liberal, Coalition, it's irrelevant. They can do whatever they want now, as far as money's concerned. Now in 1999, the good man, Mr. Tony Butcher Blair, he signed into law the House of Lords Act, which abolished all the hereditary heirs. Is that the right word? Heirs. I'm from Bolton, so I can't speak properly. So there are no more hereditary peers left in the Lords. They're all placemen, they're all yes men, they're all people like Blair and Cameron, Brown, they're all people that have been put there by these people. People like John Prescott, fine politician, likes his food, likes to beat up women, likes to beat up photographers, and anybody who perhaps has a word against him out on the street, he'll just punch them. But this guy's now a lord. And the reason that they got rid of all these hereditary peers is that so there is no check and balance whatsoever. Anything the Commons want passing, it will be passed. Now that's where I come from, that's where I'm looking at. They've removed our checks and balances, and to me, this alliance now has to become what the House of Lords used to be. It has to be a check and balance. It's going to be an awful lot of work for an awful lot of people within this alliance. I keep wanting to say the word union, and I know a lot of people don't like the word union. But this alliance has got to become what the House of Lords used to be. It's got to stand up and say, no, sorry, you're going to have to take that back and rewrite it, or, sorry, no, you can't do this to people. Our people, we the people, if you like. So that's where I'm coming from. And, if you will, that relates to fracking. Now, I know nothing about fracking. I don't know what the problem is with it. No idea. I understand they're going to use an awful lot of water, which can never ever be used again. I understand it may be poisoning the ground and the plant life and obviously the animal life that lives on that plant life. I don't know. Maybe it's all lies. Maybe it's totally safe. Maybe we're all going to get cheap energy. Maybe we're all going to have no energy bills whatsoever. But at least I would like the government to turn round and say, these are the facts. This is the pros for having fracking. These are the negatives for having fracking. Make your own mind up and let's have a vote on it. Let's ask the people. Us. We're the ones who pay for everything. Ask us. And then let them make their mind up. And if the people of this area who I know have suffered with fracking, and the people down at Barton Moss who are suffering with fracking, if they'd have had a choice, fracking may have gone ahead. May have been fine. Let them do it. Let them drill. Let them frack. Let them get this stuff out of the ground if it's there. But without giving us that choice, it's not legitimate as far as I can see. It's just not right. They should offer us a choice on everything that they want to do. And that's where the alliance comes in. We will be asking for that choice. We'll be asking you to decide. Not us, not the founders, if you will. In fact, we'll probably not be there once this alliance is up and running and got some legitimacy. We'll probably have voted other people in who are far more qualified than we are to do it. But at least we've started something, we've got this ball rolling. And once it's rolling, it's not going to stop. And we're going to be asking our betters, our elite, Parliament, whoever it is, local government, where's our choice in this matter? When do we get to say? And if we don't get to say, then you're not going ahead with it. Simple as that. So that's where I come from anyway. So thank you very much.
Right, thanks to the Daves. You find if you come to Ashton meet, if you don't know anyone's name, say Dave, you're going to be probably right. 3/4 are called Dave or something, you know, in the area. Right, regarding fracking, my background is I'm an environmental engineer. Okay, I ran the sites, I ran some very big sites. I ran the biggest environmental site in Ireland up to 2009. I understand the mechanism behind the scenes, understand how things work, understand the politics, and understand the money, right? And I can tell you now, fracking is all about money, right? There's actually an Irish guy, he's a managing director, I believe, or chief executive of Quadrilla. As soon as he heard the Dublin accent, he went, yeah. I've seen how the Dublin money works, right? And I'd like to do a bit of background dig into this guy. This is what we do with the Alliance, right? Instead of protesting, I'm not a protester. All you do with protesting is to send thugs to beat you up. And I've seen the videos in Barton Moss. You know, I've spoke to a few people who have been there. Ugly, very ugly. That's what they want us to do, guys. They want us out there waving placards and sitting down in the road so they can send guys in paramilitary uniforms around to hurt us and make our lives miserable. Yeah, that's what they want. What they don't want us doing is digging into who they are, what their relationships are, who's holding the money, who the investors are, getting on board the company's investors, attending shareholders' meetings. This is the stuff we should be doing. And this isn't just for the fracking, this is for everything. We need to be the biggest pain in the backside they've ever met in their entire lives. And we can do it if we get together, we get organised, put the protesting stuff to one side that doesn't work, right? That's what they want us to do. It takes their energy away and it gets people angry. They want angry people. Don't be angry, be frustrated, be indignant. Right? Don't be angry about it, right? We can turn this round. Question I've got to ask, does anyone know the answer to this one? If this fracking doesn't work, right, 50 years' time we start seeing all sorts of crap bubbling up through the surface, and I come from a place in Scotland called Motherwell, who have got for many years they pumped industrial waste from the steelworks down into the mines, and it finds its way to the surface, it leaches its way to the surface, it happens, it's an industrial black spot. Motherwell's a result of it. Most people moved away because it's the ground there so heavily contaminated, and it will be forever. There's a stream, and the last I heard was this stream will have nothing will be able to live in the stream for 30,000 years because of the sheer level of metals pollution in the water, because the water comes up through springs from the ground, come up through these mines. Now we've got mines here. And for anyone who can tell you, and I'm saying this now as an environmental engineer, anyone who can tell you with certainty this is going to be the outcome of fracking is a liar. It's all based upon probabilities, it's based upon risk analysis, it's based upon statistics, and it's based upon guesses. Okay? This is the reality of the situation. Who carries the bond in 50 years' time, 100 years' time, if suddenly we find out entire areas are getting contaminated with contaminated soil, if we suddenly find rivers, all the fish are dying in them, whatever unknown consequences, cancer, hotspots, whatever happens, right? This stuff actually becomes a safety hazard issue, right? A contact issue. Who carries the bond in 50, 100 years' time? Quadrilla? We do. The government? We do. So I think as the people carrying the bond for this, we need to know what the hell's going on. Okay? So how do you get that? By writing to them, by going to their meetings, by FO, freedom of information, requesting them, by demanding answers, getting on the becoming shareholders, getting involved and get that information, by taking the government head on, ask that question and get it public. Because you want the public to change their mind on it. When you realise this companies can go bust tomorrow. The government's just a company, it can go bust tomorrow. We are going to be carrying the can for this for indefinitely, right? I mean, I say there's areas in Scotland, I know about this personally, there's areas in Scotland, they did a report in Scotland, I believe in 1992, and the government commissioned a report on cancer hotspots. And it was actually the whole UK, And the report was so damning they never published it for the public. Because they ended up with areas like Chernobyl all around the country, Sheffield, Barnsley, you know, certainly large parts of west central Scotland would have ended up in industrial black spots. Did you know they used the clinker from chrome and nickel manufacturing processes? This is the byproduct, the clinker, you know, the waste, liqueur byproduct, still saturated in nickel and chrome and various forms of chrome, etc. They used this for building houses for putting under footpaths. Use this because they found it's a commodity. We can use this. It's not a toxic substance at all. We can put roads on this. We can put it under footpaths. We can build houses on it. There's people living in houses that are built on top of this highly toxic substance.
Fluoride's a waste product.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many of them. And the government withdrew that report, never to be seen by the public. Okay, that worries me when the government isn't being honest about stuff like this. So this is where I'm coming from. So I do identify it as an issue with fracking. I have done some reading on it, as I say, I've spoken to some people as well. And just my own personal knowledge of heavily contaminated land sites, which we help clean up, right? It's all based upon statistics, okay? And you know what to say about statistics. And I can assure you we can bend statistics to say whatever we want them to say. I've done it. And you find the general public haven't got a clue. The level of bullshit is amazing, right? I can bullshit some into the dark ages when we talk about environmental stuff, right? If I'm a group of, say, general public, right? I can talk to the point they haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, and they will just go, yeah, okay, whatever, right? Because you get a nice, happy guy. There'll probably somebody prettier than me up to do the sales pitch, and he'll stand in, he'll say nice, reasonable things, and he'll sell you all the positive benefits of it. It's going to be cheaper gas, and blah, 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 blah. And most general public go, he's a nice guy, he's got a nice smile, yeah, I'd like him, and they walk away. They haven't asked any questions. And I've got a book from 1921, and this was written by, I think it was the Chief Clerk of Manitoba Province in Canada. And it's called a Handbook for Good Citizenship. Brilliant book, free on the internet, really recommend you read this. Because what this guy's saying is they want good citizens, let's give them the best citizens. They don't want us being good citizens. They want us to be compliant citizens. They don't want us being good citizens. As this guy says, when he was asked what is the biggest piece of advice you give people, he says, ask the right questions, because all the time I served as a chief clerk, I believe he was a chief clerk, chief commissioner of Manitoba Province, no member of the public ever asked me the questions I didn't want to be asked. He says that people need to learn how to ask the right questions. So that's what we need to do, guys. We need to ask the right questions. Now, acting individually, right, and I do appreciate there's 2 or 3 groups that are involved in the fracking process. And I'm aware there's people here maybe aren't involved in the anti-fracking campaign. But we need to get together and team pool resources. In this room, there's an IQ level which is incredible. There's so much talent, so much knowledge, so much skills. I mean, we've got a room full of amazing people here, and I'm sure we could bring in another 1,000 amazing people without even trying, right, if we sell this correctly to them, right? You say we can't take on the local council? I have a deal with the local council. Oh my God. The more deals I have with them, the more I realise these guys haven't got a clue. They're just following process. They're process drones. So we need to break away from the process drones and start taking it back ourselves. Now, I was reading a report from the UK. This is the official government report, and it's about the human right to water. So for this evening, I'll focus a bit on the fracking, right? The human right to water. And it says that the British government, oh, I've actually taken it with me, so I may have the wrong one, so it doesn't matter. What it actually says is the British government has decided not to make the right to clean, affordable water, renewable, affordable water, to make it a right for us. They've decided that. It's nice of them, isn't it? You know, the bad news, the British government's a corporation. The British government is a corporation. Everybody we're talking to is a corporation. Private corporations, by definition, have no interest in human rights. That's not part of their job. Their job is to maximise profit for the shareholders. That's what a corporation does, isn't it? That's all they do. What's the one job of a managing director of a corporation? to maximise profit for the shareholders. That's what a corporation does. So when they're turning and saying we're not interested in human rights, that tells you the government's changed somewhat, doesn't it? There's been a change there. One, they think we work for them. Right? Actually, no, they work for us. We need to remind them of that. And two, all the indications are there. If you read up a bit in business law and start reading up a bit in law and one thing or another, I know some of you have, some of you might not have, but the more you start reading up in law, particularly corporate law and business law, you realise that all these bodies we're facing, local authorities, government departments, how many ministries are left in the government anymore? Here's an interesting exercise. Go on the internet and look up the Ministry of Transport. Look for the Minister of Transport. It used to be one, wasn't it? MOT. Department for Transport now. Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. Department for this, department for that, department for the next thing. Where's the ministries going? This has happened quietly in the last year. There's been an absolute death of ministries to replace by departments. Departments is private business, guys. It's private. Okay. I don't want to say too much about this at the moment because I know I'm public, but I'm taking on my council head on at the end of this month. I'm challenging their authority. They're a private company and they've got absolutely bugger all authority over me. And what they're actually, I can't talk too much about it, right? But we're in court, right? Trust me, we're in court. And we just submitted a bundle, our skeleton defence last week there. And we'll be interested to see what they come back with. But I can assure you we're going for private criminal prosecutions and private civil actions against individuals at the end of this. What you've got to do is not go for the company, you must go for the individuals. Okay? Did you know there's a European, what's the charter? European Charter for Criminal Corruption. And the UK signed up to that one. They didn't sign up to the UK EU Charter for civil corruption, because the City of London, I presume, they empty the City of London by signing that. They didn't sign up to that one, but they signed up to the one in criminal corruption. And in there defines quite clearly that the director or the directing mind, and that's what a director is, or a CEO, the directing mind of a business, as a man can be found personally negligent, can be found criminally negligent or criminally responsible in any other way for the behaviour of the company that he's a director of, he's the directing mind of, right? They guess who they get us, we're deemed to be the directing mind of this business called Mr. John Smith or whatever, okay? We need to start going for the individuals, guys. Now, I don't mean this in a sort of, let's go and get them kind of way. I'm talking about a sensible, professional, sit down, all planned, all organised, right? Complying with the law, that's what we're doing. And we start going for these heads of the companies. And then we start making a company unattractive for shareholders. That's how you do it. Yeah, we have to start playing really clever now. I'm not one for holding up placards. I'm not one for shouting slogans. I've done it in the past. Never worked. Never worked. That's how you get their attention. So at the moment, the government is sitting there listening to its corporate lobbyists. Okay, are giving it. There's obviously brown envelopes and all sorts of favours getting done and all that usual nonsense, right? And the problem is we are all individuals sitting in the sidelines going, but sir, please, no, sir, please, can't do that, sir, please help me, I've got a problem, please help me. We're begging for help, right? What we start doing is we start taking back control. I don't mean control in a sort of revolutionary way. Democracy. And I haven't got the book here with me tonight, but I quoted it in the last one about of course democracy doesn't work. We're supposed to be working it. And we're not at the moment, we're all sitting back. Somebody needs to do something. If I had a penny for every time I've heard that nonsense, somebody needs to do something. Or sitting there swearing at the TV at question time for people to watch that nonsense. Somebody is doing something, guys, right? We need to go off our backsides. And we come originally from sort of the free man movement, if you like. And we have tried everything. We've tried all the different avenues as individuals. We've tried all the different avenues, and what you find is we're getting crushed in court. Even though we're correct with the law, we're quoting the law at them, even though we're getting in there, good guys, and we're doing everything by the book and the paperwork's perfect, we're getting crushed in the courts. Because I'll tell you now, the courts, and I'm happy going public with this, no, the senior judges are listening to this, our opinion now is the courts are no longer there to serve justice, they're there to enforce political doctrine. That's what the courts are there to do, okay? I personally have no confidence whatsoever in the justice system anymore, none, okay? And this is not echoed just by me, this is echoed by millions of us up and down the country who've had unfortunate experiences with the collusion between the courts and the local authorities. Very, very, very close relationships, you know, where you go for appeal and the appeal gets held back. In Scotland, you can't even go for appeal without having a solicitor representing you, a court officer representing you. I mean, the justice system at the moment, guys, for those who aren't following us, is falling apart as we speak. It is crumbling from within, right? The government is messing with stuff that shouldn't be messed with, and as a result, there's now a huge backlash within the justice system. With the barristers going strike on Friday, did you all know that? Yeah? Because of the cuts, and the barristers have obviously their own take on cuts because they get a good profit. But I mean, they do a good job, you know, they're entitled to reimbursement. So the amount of reward they get needs obviously discussed. But the fact that they're going out on strike now is an HMCTS, Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Service, the largest union that I think it's pretty much every day in HMCTS is a public sector union, and they went on strike last year a couple of times, leaving placards. Didn't get very far at it. And they're worried because what's happening is they're privatising fine collections and taking away from HMCTS. They're not doing it because they care about us, by the way. Right? A union really looks after itself. They're doing it because it means some of the members are going to get sacked. The ones that are applying the fines get sacked, and they're going to replace them with private guys. That's what they're upset about. Not the fact that the fines and all, to begin with, might be wrong, but the fines might be there just to raise revenue. Yeah. But it's because some of the members might get laid off. So, you know, they want to the bullies, not have private bullies in taking their jobs. I actually contacted the PCSU union and offered to have a meet with them, with some of our guys, to sit down and meet with them, never get a reply back. And that seems to be quite a thing, this, with people not replying back, isn't it? Public bodies, you open this. And I haven't got it here, so there's so much information I could share with you. But there's rules for public bodies, the conduct of public bodies out there. And if anyone wants a copy of it, contact us, we'll pass it on, right? All public bodies must comply with these basic rules. So it's like openness and fairness and integrity, releasing information, all this good stuff. And I'd say in the last year it's got even worse. This Freedom of Information Act is a joke, an absolute joke. I was listening to a woman getting a hearing with the Scottish Parliament. I listened to both parliaments. To learn more about England, you need to watch the Scottish stuff, by the way. Start learning a bit more about how England works as well. This woman came up there and she was made a complaint, and she's put a bill forward, private bill, to settle litigants in person who have refused a lawyer, a solicitor, because they don't trust the buggers 1 inch. Would rather not waste their money and a lot of times. Have no access to appeal without having a solicitor representing you. So she's up there talking about this. And it turned out the senior judges hadn't even responded to the Scottish Government, asking the questions that the Scottish Government had asked them. And it was commented on that even the judges aren't talking to them. So there's whole levels of secrecy here, and levels of subterfuge and deceit and closed doors that don't belong in a democratic country. They just do not belong in a democratic country. And my God, am I a terrorist for saying that? I know I've got a special file with the police apparently, because I talk about this kind of stuff. I've got friends questions have been asked about me by plainclothes policemen of my friends, because apparently I'm on a special watch list. My God, I'm a dangerous character, aren't I? Yeah. But they've got this job creation. I suppose I'm creating jobs, so there we go. I'm obviously a good guy. But I mean, so we need to be asking all these right questions. But if they're not going to answer the questions, what do? Do we just go, they're not answering our questions, Gov? That's a victim that does that. We stop being victims, right? There's a lot of professional victims out there. I meet lots of them. People that can't get rid of this victim complex because we're trained that way as kids. Since little kids have been trained to be victims. Sir, he's hitting me. Or miss, she's calling me names. That's how we've been trained, we still do it. We go to the courts. Miss, he's done this to me. We're supposed to be adults now. Let's start acting a bit like adults. This is no insult to anyone. This is just a general observation. We need to start acting like adults and taking back this for ourselves, right? The courts are run for us. They're run to provide justice. Where there's a dispute or a controversy between two persons, the civil courts are there to resolve that dispute to the satisfaction of both parties, not there to apply political doctrine or to enforce political policy. This is wrong. This is dictatorship. This is tyranny when you start doing that, and I do use the word tyranny. And I'll refer again to the Universal Declaration. It's not the best declaration in the world. We're creating our own one. We will create our own one. But it's the best we've got at the moment. And it does say, whereas disregard, this is in the preamble, Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, okay? So now I get people saying, oh, you're one of these lawful rebel guys, you're in a lawful rebellion. Yep, because that says I can. Not Magna Carta, that's the rich, that's the lords. Don't care about Magna Carta. That says I can. And it says, whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind, and the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief and freedom from fear and want has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people, to be compelled to have recourse as a last resort to rebellion against tyranny and oppression, the human rights should be protected by the rule of law. Rule of law. This country is supposed to be governed by rule of law. What is the law? Is the law what the government tells us it is? Well, a little group of industrialists lobby the government to change the laws, because most of the laws we get now are due to lobbying. Or is the law we find ourselves so unconscionably horrible and so corrosive to our society that we would take action to stop that behaviour taking place? I think we are the law, are we not?
Yeah.
We decide what the law is.
Common law.
Now, unfortunately, I would like to go into more depth this night, but I won't, is if you're a business, you create your own laws within the business. They're called the rules, the memorandum, the articles of association. If you're a trust, it's the declaration or indenture document, whatever. If you're a private club, again, it's rules and regulations. If you're a private company, you create your own internal laws. And I'll tell you now, the statutes and acts we have are internal laws of a private business. We are part of a private business. How many of you are now referenced by the councils, your local authority? I've stopped calling them councils because they're not. The local authorities are referred now to as customers. Have you noticed that change? You're now known as customers. What does that tell you about a customer within a business? Is that the same as being a citizen of a democracy? Or is that you've got a say to complain about the conduct of a company, but because you're a customer, you're not actually within the company, so all they do is they go, thank you very much for your complaint, bugger off.
Customer's always right, though.
No, he's not. If they get together and act together, and this is what we talk about, right? So, you have got to understand your place in the world with these guys. Right? Start looking for the clues, what your role is with these different bodies. So when the local authority comes up and starts telling you, you're going to do this, or blah, 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 blah. What authority gives them the right to do that? Have they got popular authority? Are they quoting national law? Are they quoting their own little local bylaws? Are they quoting the ministerial orders, which I'll cover in a minute? Dave touched on that a minute ago there. Are they quoting private company law? The latter. Okay? They're empowered by whatever, right? Various acts and ministerial orders most of the time. Few are still acting under their charters, but they're all acting as private companies, and I can assure you the council that I'm taking that we're going to court within the end of the month as a private company, and we're going to prove that in the court. Right? And the question I've got to ask guys seriously is, why is it just me? I'm a Scotsman. What the hell am I down here in England challenging your courts for, your councils for? It's your councils. Start digging. Who are, and it didn't take me long to do this. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a forensic accountant or any of this nonsense, right? I just started asking questions. Who are you people? Why have I got 4 councils? 4 bodies in my area. I reckon there's at least 20, but there's 4 bodies in the area where I inhabit, the area where I live, where they use the word council in their name. And they're all in there threatening me and telling me he owes money and stuff. I'm like, whoa, hold on. There's one royal charter. How can you have 4 companies acting under one royal charter? There's one order, if you like, ministerial order for Greater Manchester. How can 4 companies act under that one ministerial order? You start asking questions from the guys at the top and they're like, oh, we don't know the answer, we don't give legal advice. I'm not asking legal advice. Who do you recognise as being the council here? Can 4 bodies, can we have 4 councils in one area at one time? Silence. The reason is, guys, what we've got now is multiple tiers. Have you all heard of unitary authorities? Has anyone not heard of it? Yeah, okay, sorry. Unitary authority, we used to have different levels. We talked about checks and balances. In this country, it evolved. The system in this country evolved. It wasn't invented, it evolved, right? Over years of conflict and strife, right? They found a system that just worked, okay? And we've had those different levels, now from the parish councils to local boroughs to county boroughs to, you know, the whole raft of things, the lieutenancies and the duchies and all this nonsense going on. But they all acted as a check and balance against each other, didn't they? They're all self-interested groups. However, they're all, you can't do that because it's ours. So they're all fighting amongst each other, but there was a sort of check and balance taking place there. What they've decided to do under the European Union is create what's called unitary authorities. What they do is they take all these different layers and unite them into one body, right? For increased efficiency, corporate talk, increased efficiency, yeah? Minimising waste, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's a tyranny. Where you've got one body. How easy is it for one body to sit there and just start dictating to everyone else who's create these unitary authorities? There's a website, if you go into it, it's the Notaries something forum, Notaries of UK and Ireland forum. It'll come to me in a minute. But they start off by saying the UK as a unitary authority. That's how they start. This is the notaries, notary publics, who sign your legal documents, notarise your legal documents.
Second only to the Archbishop.
Yeah, and they say there the UK is now unitary authority. So if you hear anyone talking about, oh, but the Queen, I'm a royalist, or anyone talking about, you know, we live in a parliamentary democracy, or we live in a constitutional democracy, or any of this other nonsense, no, we don't, guys. That used to be there, it's still there. However, nobody's in it. They've all left it. We've all left that ship now. We've claimed the board of good ship unitary authority. We're now governed by unitary authorities. And it terrifies me. Ukraine is a very complicated area, right? I've got friends over there, one thing or another. But one observation I will make on it is one of the problems with Ukraine was they had these unitary authorities in Ukraine where everything was like a pyramid structure. Right, so the guys at the top ran the whole city regions, was run by like a pyramid structure. You get gangsters and criminals and they see that pyramid structure, what are they going to try and do? They're going to take over the top, aren't they? It's a sitting target. Henry VIII did it. Oh, knock him out of the way and I'll step in. I'm now the boss. I've got the big swords. That's what terrifies me when you get these pyramid structures because they're so easily infiltrated by real bad guys. Real thugs and real bad guys, and I suggest we're already there, by the way. How many bankers have been jailed? Well, that's my case. So essentially, we need to go back to a system that we choose. And I'm not saying my system suits you. The areas you live in will be different from my area. Some areas are rural, some areas are more industrial, some areas think they come under Greater Manchester. I would argue they don't. And we soon need to decide for your local area what needs to happen to bring back democracy. So they're now answering to us. If we don't let the chief exec kick his backside out in the street or her backside out in the street again, get somebody in who does listen to us. And stuff I can't talk about tonight, but because I'm on the camera, I would dearly love to. But Greater Manchester is comprised, this is from their own constitution, is comprised of the authority abrogated, which is opposite delegated, abrogated to them by the 10 constituent councils. What councils? Who are the constituent councils? What authority do they have to be granting anything? That was not, I don't remember ever voting for that. That was just decided. You look at the guys running Greater Manchester, for the guys at Barton Moss. You look at the guys running Greater Manchester, not one of them is directly elected. They're using this European crap of indirectly elected. Indirectly elected is nothing. It's irrelevant. That's no authority whatsoever, right? If they're not elected to a position, if somebody's elected as a councillor, does that mean he can go and sit on the board of Greater Manchester? If somebody's elected as a councillor of Wigan, because that's what's happening. I didn't vote. Nobody voted for him to be in the board of management of Greater Manchester Combined Authority. and it's stakeholders and partners. And if you ask questions of who the stakeholders or partners are, don't get a reply. Write a simple question, write to the Greater Manchester Combined Authority legal team, ask them a question, who's the stakeholders, can you give me a list of all the stakeholders and partners, please, of Greater Manchester Combined Authority? And you'll write in my case, you write 4 letters and give up, because you won't get a reply from them, right? Start digging into, if you really want to tear the Greater Manchester apart, start digging into the pension fund, because you'll find that Greater Manchester is bust. It's bust. So bust if it to go into the public sector pension fund, and that's now supporting Greater Manchester. And they've got a private equity firm. Do you all know about private equity firms? Right. A private equity firm is a firm of very good people. They do their job ruthlessly well, right? And what they do is they'll come in and take over a business which is failing. So what they do is immediately sack the entire board of management. And I believe in 2010 we had a huge amount of sackings in Bolton and Wigan and all these constituent councils. Suddenly books get cleared. That's the first thing you get a private equity firm behind the scenes. Our chief exec and loads of other ones. Anyway, so a private equity firm, its ethos is the maximum it will invest in the business is 6 years. That's at maximum. They won't invest any longer than that, right? This is hard frontline finance stuff, right? And what they'll do then, they'll asset strip the company, they'll chip and change it around, they'll sell parts off, they'll privatise parts, they'll restructure it, they'll do, I mean, what they do is superb, it's fantastic, we're making money. However, that's great in the private sector, fantastic, that's what you want in businesses, isn't it? It stops them going under. Do you want that in the public sector? Do you want private equity firms now dictating to the public sector how they should run their business? Their business. It's not business, it's local government. So, I mean, I've got real serious issues with this. So if you want to start, the guys from Barton Moss, right, who've been bullied about by the police, right, you're aware the police is getting paid money. I've got nothing against the police. I've got 2 good policeman friends of mine. These guys don't run around in uniforms and beat people up, but I've got 2 good friends of police, not in Greater Manchester, so I've got nothing against the police. I've got to make that clear. We do need them, some of them. But the police are taking funds from these constituent councils. They're getting paid by these constituent councils. How embarrassing that will be when we prove these local councils are private companies, and the police are now receiving the proceeds of crime. So you want to fight back, guys. This is just one little example. I've got hundreds of them like this. You want to fight back, guys. This is you start fighting back, right? It means you actually didn't do some work. Put down the placards. I don't know if the protester guys there. I'm not picking in any means, but you do more good by digging, writing letters, getting information, sharing information, getting organised, working out what to do with that information, working out some criminal cases, some civil cases, going public with it. Because some of the stuff I've got, we're about to go very public with it. I promised the council this. I think they're testing me. It's going to be embarrassing for them. But you start sharing stuff that's locally, right? And you'll find the councils quickly lose the favour of the people. Because how many people think the council tax should just cover the services we're provided? Should I, as a private sector, can't afford my own pension, have a gun held to my head to pay for public sector pensions? Isn't that bullying? How many of these does that break, the universal declaration thing? I mean, we should not have a gun held to my head to pay somebody else's pension. That's called, by the very definition of the word, slavery. Debt servitude. You're there getting gun held to your head to pay somebody else's debts. Okay, that's debt servitude. We need to start using this kind of language and start putting them in their place, okay? And the stuff we're talking here will not just take on the fracking. As I say, I'm not going to say here, I've got my concerns with fracking, real concerns to know the industry works. However, there may be an upside to it, maybe there probably is a bigger downside to it, but as I say, as the Alliance, we're not against anything. We sell a positive message. Let's get a proper independent study done on the long-term and short-term effects of fracking. Let's get a proper risk assessment done. Let's get a proper cost-benefit analysis done, and get out to the public and let the public make their mind up based upon not the bullshit and propaganda we're getting fed us. I've listened to Radio Manchester recently. Oh my good God. It's bad. The sheer level of propaganda the BBC is pumping out just now. Obviously the BBC is now trying to sell a policy. The fracking is good. And I sit and read it and I'm listening to this going, how many people fall for this utter crap, right? And this is PR. This is pure PR. And the BBC is not there to sell private companies PR. So I'm asking everybody in this room tonight, stop paying your TV licence tomorrow. Write to the BBC and say, I'm not paying my TV licence. You're now advertising the company, you're now selling a company's PR to us. That's not what the BBC's for. You're now in breach of your royal charter, so I no longer require a licence at this address. You're now in breach of your charter tomorrow, guys. Right? And if you don't do that tomorrow, question how really committed you are to this.
Already done it, bro.
There's a lot of us have already done it. But those who haven't done it and go sitting going, well, you know, I'm a bit scared, Don't be scared, guys. Don't be scared. Because how many of us in this room is there? Did you know that the TV licence is collected by a company called Capita? It's another private company. They'll call themselves TV licence, all sorts of names of a private company, right? So this is how we start firing back. The BBC is now selling pro-fracking adverts in its channel. It's breached its royal charter, so let's hit the BBC. This is what we can do together. As an individual, you won't get much results with that, yeah? But if we within the alliance, every member of the alliance, because as advocates, every advocate of the alliance, right, we stand together on this one. We no longer require the BBC. You've broached your royal charter as a joined mass of voices, right? They'll be a bit more reluctant to send a TV licensing man round, will they? And if they take us to court, if they take one of us to court, you suddenly find you're sitting there with your union rep next to you, as you're sitting there facing the judge in the court, growling at the judge, and every time that judge steps outside his very narrow code of conduct, which we've got, right, and every time the justice clerks step outside their narrow code of conduct, every time they step outside their judicial code of conduct, formal complaints. And where we can get a civil claim, we'll go for a civil claim. Where we can go for a criminal complaint, we'll go for a criminal complaint. The union can do this. I know it's terrifying for individuals, but as the union, we can do this. We can do it. We have the knowledge, we have the people on board to do this. Right? But what we need is other people getting involved and learning from us how to do it. Right? We can bring people up. This is it's going to take hard work. It's going to take perseverance. It's going to take a lot of selling. Getting off Facebook, getting off the internet, getting boots on the ground, reading books, getting your boots on the ground, reading books, get out there talking to people, having a tabletop in your local town centre every Saturday, and sit there and tell people this is how it works. How many people can tell me today, here now, what your rights are under your council constitution, local authority constitution? Can anyone put their hands in the air if you can? No, wrong.
I've got 6.
There you go. We do, because we're weird that way. But in the original council constitution, I forced my council to rewrite 3/4 of the constitution. You know how I did that? Asking questions. I forced them to rewrite 3/4 of the constitution. It's still wrong. Because that's simple questions. And I'm not an expert. It's just I look at somebody and say, the council and its citizens. That's a possessory, isn't it? It means a possession. So I'm a possession of the council. Isn't that slavery? Letter to the council. Are you claiming I'm your possession? Changed. Yeah, okay. I'll just quickly run through this and over tea break, yeah? I'll tell you your rights are if you live in Wigan. Okay? Citizens have a number of rights when they're dealing with the council. These are, some of these are legal rights. Whilst others are dependent on the council's own processes, private business. Okay? The local Citizens Advice Bureau can advise on individual legal rights. Citizens Advice Bureau is common purpose limited, right? Go nowhere near them. Start turning your back on Citizens Advice Bureau, right? Why should the council, a public body, allegedly, be telling me to go to a private agency for advice? I'll go to the council if am I some sort of servant? Am I some sort of victim? No, if I want advice, I'll go to the bloody council and you'll tell me what the answers I want. Don't send me to some third party outfit who'll give me foam head through nonsense. Where members of the public use specific council services, for example, as a parent or a school pupil, they have additional rights. Well, that's nice of them, isn't it? These are not covered in the Constitution. Oh, shame. Right, citizens have the right to vote at local elections if they're registered, contact the local council if any matters of concern to them, only contact them, obtain a copy of the Constitution, attend meetings of the council and its committees, except where, for example, personal or confidential matters are being discussed. Stuff like Barton Moss, by the way, and financial stuff, right, because it's a private company. If it was a public body, we'd be sitting in the finance meetings, wouldn't we? A petition, begging, petition means to plead, right? Petition to request a so it's not even a petition for a referendum, it's a petition to request, it's double begging. A referendum on a mayoral form of executive. Finding the executive's forward plan, so they've already planned this, right? So not actually involved in the planning, it's already been decided. What major decisions are to be discussed by the executive or decided by the executive of officers and when? Doesn't say we can get involved in that, does it? Attend meetings of the executive where key decisions were made, discussed or decided. However, you sit there and keep quiet. If you read through this, you daren't talk. We'll kick you out. See reports and background papers and any records of decisions made by the council and executive. That's the ones that they've bothered releasing, or the ones who actually occasionally maybe let slip in freedom of information requests, right? Because these guys go in training courses out not to release information. Complain to the council about unresolved grievances. Oh, it's nice, isn't it? Victims. I've got a complaint. Complain to the Ombudsman if they think the council's not followed its procedures properly. However, they should only do this after using the council's own complaints process. So what I'm saying is you should notify the council in advance what you've got them on so they can cover their tracks before it goes to Ombudsman. And the Ombudsman makes his decision anyway, as a case from last year from Greater Manchester, when the Ombudsman makes an absolutely black and white clear decision that the Manchester City Council acted outside its authority by going straight for a repossession and by going straight for a bankruptcy order against a non-council taxpayer, right? Ombudsman found in favour of the chap himself. Manchester City Council refused to recognise that. So the council, the Ombudsman, complain to the monitoring officer if they have evidence which they think shows a councillor has not followed the council's code of conduct. Doesn't say you can complain about the executive, doesn't it? So you've got to complain to the executive about a councillor. A councillor is elected by us. The executive are appointees. They're all appointed. That's private. That's the private side of it. A local authority is comprised of the local council, the council, and the executive. The executive is officers, right? And they're private. They're private. And then you've got the council, which is the ones we elect, who tend to be, my understanding, more hard work, right? They're not elected because of their intelligence, most of them. But anyway, but it doesn't say there that you can actually complain about the executive, does it? It just says you can complain to the executive about the council. Well, I thought the executive should work side by side by the council to assist the council, because that's the ones who's elected government body. So the fact that you've got to complain to the executive about a council tells you've been a change now. The private body is now running the show. You do your own paperwork, and you've got the right to inspect the council's accounts for 2 weeks a year, right? And make your views known to the external auditor. That's what we'll be doing. And the council welcomes, this is the bit for the union, the council welcomes participation by citizens in its work. Thank you. So the rest of the crap, that's what I wanted. A statement of the rights of citizens to respect agenda and reports and attend meetings form part of the Constitution and may be viewed on the Council's website. So they've decided what meetings we can't go to. They've decided what information we've got access to and haven't got access to. And in this particular Council's case, they've now started refusing information to councillors who are asking for the right information. Right? And that's it. How many rights do you have? Yeah. How many rights do you have? Have a ponder that. We'll talk when we come back after the break, right? Have a think about how many rights do you have with the council? You should be asking, we need more rights, and we're going to do that. Anyway, we'll take a quick break, guys. I understand the reason I call myself Rob B. B is obviously not my surname, is because I have no desire to contract with you guys, yeah? Being a wee bit of a contract lawyer, understand that. So I'll give you an informal name, so that way we've got an informal relationship. Right, there's... I can understand some people would be concerned about when we start talking about a union. Do you want to give a definition of a union?
Yeah.
Right. So 2 or more people associate for a common purpose. That's it. 2 or more people get together and associate for a common purpose. So if you and your mate decide that you're going to go up there and fix a bit of guttering, you've just formed a union. How's the United Kingdom formed? What's the act? It says it was created in the United Kingdom. The act of
300 years ago.
the country is a union, right? So I understand some people confuse it with trades unions. We're not a trade union. So just please be aware, this isn't selling any political agenda. We are not political, right? We're not selling any political agenda. We're not selling any personal bullshit. I'm certainly not going to be giving any information of any of our members to any third party. That will never happen, right? This stuff gets encrypted, right? We'll do everything we can to protect our members' interests, right? We're not, nobody, all the guys on board have been specifically chosen because we can verify and vouch for every single one of them at the moment, right? Nobody we cannot vouch for will have any access to any information that they should not have access to. We are aware of infiltrators. We are aware of the dirty tricks campaigns out there. We're aware that there are certain governmental agencies, let us say, who have got people out there whose job it is to infiltrate these organisations, get information, right? We've got nothing to hide though. We are a proper democratic body, so we've nothing to hide. So what's the worst they can do? Yeah, you're a bad guy because you forced the council to vote on something. So we've nothing to hide. We're not doing anything that's wrong or anything that's illegal or anything that's going to harm anyone. So there's nothing that can come for us. And one thing this does give us, guys, is at the moment, most of you, not ourselves now, most of you guys will have not have defined who and what you are. So by doing that, you're allowing certain bodies, certain parties out there to define who you are. Yeah, we know what we're talking about. They will define you as being a nutter and being a radical and being a threat and all this stuff, right? Because they make money from that. That's their business, yeah? So at the moment, you're not defining who and what you are. So now's the time to start defining publicly what you are. How many people are aware of the United Nations Declaration of 1998? Right, it's a big long title, and it's effectively how this was just before the United Nations got taken over by very left-wing politics. A group of good people got together and created this United Nations Declaration of 1998. I'm not a fan of United Nations, however, these people gave us a gift. And what it is, it tells the state how it's to conduct itself, the state and organs of the state, how to conduct themselves in dealing with people who are advocates of fundamental freedoms and human rights. And the guys in the Bolton group will understand that you've now called your Bolton group advocates for freedom, or advocates of fundamental freedom. Bolton Freedom Advocates, right? If you identify yourself in your letters and publicly as an advocate of fundamental freedoms, and if you so choose, and human rights, you've now identified yourself. And what you've also done is you've identified that document which protects you. Because the state, if you identify yourself as an advocate of fundamental freedoms and human rights, citing the United Nations Declaration of 1998, the state has an obligation to recognise you, protect you, and assist you. If you don't do that, they're in breach of the United Nations Declaration. Okay? So if you identify yourself publicly as being an advocate of fundamental freedoms and human rights, you can demand those protections. And if they don't provide you those protections, they're in breach of their own, 9 times out of 10, their own code of conduct, 99 times out of 100, their own code of conduct, their own constitutions, their own company policies. They're in breach of them, and you've now got a nice tort against them. So if you identify yourself properly, suddenly you change it's your game now you're playing, yeah? So that's why we identify ourselves as advocates, not members, advocates. The union, right? Everyone within the union who's a voting member is an advocate. And everyone will have a say. It's truly democratic. We will be the provisional assembly, National Assembly. And there'll be a provisional constitution, a provisional rule book for members, all provisional. No, there's no dictators here. I can stand back a bit from it because I don't want to impose my views on it and let people, as many people as possible, get involved in the decision-making processes and the final outcome of what the Constitution is going to look like. Because the more people are involved in this, the more representative it is. But if there's just 2 or 3 of us writing it, it's not going to be representative of everyone's views. So what will happen is, we'll get the union kicked off. It's actually officially launching today. We'll have the website up and running within a week or so. with a bit of technical problem there, but with the website up and running within a week or so, we'll be able to take formal union membership on through the, or the alliance membership on through the website. And if you choose to leave the alliance anytime you want, leave it. Join it and leave it. That's the bottom line. There's nobody trapping you. There's no obligations there on you. However, when you're within the alliance, we've all got to agree we're complying with certain rules. We've got to be very, very aware of infiltrators coming in from either official places or from political extremes, or there's going to be all sorts of people who try and come in here and stymie this, yeah? Will try and come in and damage us and damage your reputation. Remember UKIP, there was one guy in UKIP stood up and said that somebody with same-sex marriages is what caused these storms. One idiot stood up and said that. Look at the damage he caused, yeah? So we've got to be careful of that. So no one is allowed to speak until they've been vetted and we know who they are and that they're at a level where they can be trusted to go out there and speak publicly.
You got booted out for that, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, we will put them further. Right, this isn't a political party, this is a union, right? We represent, this is all us, our credibility, our joined credibility. People are out there cutting their wrists at the moment through debt, yeah? This is serious stuff. Anyone comes on board the union and tries to undermine us, anyone comes on board to cause trouble or to try and sell some political bullshit or try and turn it into a single issue group, alliance, right, will find our wrath. Right, because we're acting like a union now. We're not a talking shop, we go in and kick arse. And if people can't see us taking control of our own members, would you trust us to represent you in court? Would you trust us to represent you facing down councils and governments? So we've got to act, we are what it says in the tin, right? We don't take any shit from anyone, okay? And so this is good for the members, for the advocates, this is good. Because who would you rather have running the alliance? People you can trust to go in there and take no bullshit and move us forward and drive it forward, and not take people coming on, oh, you know, I believe in sort of earth vibrations, whatever it is, and try and mix that with what we're doing. That won't happen, guys. It won't happen, right? We're there to change things for the better, to bring back our voice and to get our voices heard. And we're going to do it in the most democratic way we can. I had a guy up in Scotland last week said I've got issues with being democratic. Right, okay, I can see where he's coming from. Right, okay, what else is there? He didn't have an answer to that. Right, so if somebody thinks there's some better, if there's a better way of us doing this, please join in the group, join in the assembly. We're creating this at the moment. It was pretty much created. We're creating this at the moment. We need more voices on board, sensible voices on board with good ideas that can take us forward. You might say something that makes us go, shit, we've got this totally wrong, we'll start again. That's what we want. So what we want is not people sitting back waiting for somebody to do something. You do something. So if you want to get involved in it, get involved in the decision-making process, get involved in the union, get involved. What we'll do is we'll put all the provisional setup of this, and constitution, assembly, everything, we'll put it all up for vote in 3 or 6 months, whenever we get sufficient members. And if people want to completely rewrite the constitution, done democratically, that's what will happen. Nobody's imposing anything on you. I'm not trying to sell anything to you. It's just I see a lot of people out there at the moment, and individuals, myself included, and my wife, getting hurt because the courts have no respect for us. We have no standing. And the guys that have been in court will understand that. You go into court on your own, and they will look at you as if you're a complete imbecile, right? Because you have no standing. How do you like it next time you're in court to have your union rep sitting next to you, growling at the judge? Ready to break all hell, break loose them, and the judge steps outside the very tight confines of his job description, or the next time a policeman steps outside the confines of his job description. What's the biggest union in this country? Do you know the biggest union in this country has got 5.8 million members? 5.8 million members, that's a big amount to hit, isn't it? That's a lot of power they've got. We get 6 million members, we become the biggest union in the country. That's not a lot of people. We can do it. If we get the message right and we do this mainstream within the system and we start getting results and build up our credibility and get good people on board willing to drive this forward, committed, not a part-time little hobby, really committed. You're prepared to put your personal bullshit to one side. I carry personal bullshit. I push it to one side. I'm prepared to compromise, because what the union is all about is finding a common ground. Right? We have a huge common ground. Why should we ignore that vast amount of common ground we have to spend all the time arguing about the little bits we disagree on? Right? You might be carrying political baggage, you might be carrying, I don't know, some, agendas of your own. That's fine. What you do in your own time is your personal business. Nobody's telling you not to do anything. However, just don't confuse that with the union stuff. The more credibility we build this union up with, the more good people we get involved in it, the bigger the numbers get with the union, and that means getting a good message, right? The bigger the numbers we get, the more power we get. How many members do you need in your local branches? We're looking for local branches everywhere, okay? We're not looking for little clubs of 2 or 3, we're looking for hundreds everywhere. Now, we'll talk about in a minute how we're going to achieve that there. How many members do you need? How many advocates or members do you need in your local branch? Right? How many, the last local elections, for council elections, how many votes did it take to vote your local councillor in? You need one more vote than that. And I'll guarantee it was somewhere about 18-20% maybe of the electorate. If you're in a big area where I come from, 18-20% of the population. So if we sell the right thing, we're selling the right dream, the right idea to the local people, right? To get 21% say of the local people to join the alliance, right? And we own the council. And I'll tell you now, if we own the council, we own the magistrates' courts. Because the magistrates' courts work for the councils. So instead of fighting the magistrates' courts, because we know they're bent as hell, we know they're corrupt to the top to bottom. There's not one honest thing about the magistrates' courts and county courts as well, right? And this is from personal experience, and everyone who's been to court will no doubt agree with that. They've already decided before you go into court what the outcome's going to be. I've got evidence of that for 3 years now, 3 years worth of evidence that this has happened. They've agreed, they've actually decided what the decision is going to be 3 days before the hearings have went in the last 3 years for council tax. That's not a court that works. So how do we fix that? Do we go into court screaming and shouting at them? Oh, but you are a bugger, and I'm this and that. Or do we start telling them what the law is by taking over the councils? So I'm not saying we do this immediately. We need to build up to this. We need to build people up to a level where you take on the job of a councillor or a parish councillor, a borough councillor, town councillor, parish councillor, and you'll be fully versed up in the job, and you begin entirely independently. Not to sell a political ideology, but to get inside information, to affect change in the inside, to get involved in the decision-making process, right? And get your voices heard. We can do this. I know it's terrifying as an individual, but we can do this as a union. Now, the union itself will have a National Assembly. We've used these words, right? You can call it what you want. Wherever the majority decide, you want to change the names, you can, right? National Assembly. You will have below that special advocates, and you'll have expert advocates. So if anyone comes on board with a particular expertise, or there's some reason they can't just come as a normal member, they might be a lawyer, or they might have an environmental doctorate or something along that lines, they will come in at that level. Then we'll have the branch organisers, and then we'll have the advocates, which is the majority of people within union will be advocates. They've got full voting rights. Then below advocates, we've got members. So that's the people who really don't give a shit. They just join up because it sounds like a good idea, and it's a social event, coming to your meetings and wasting their time. But anyway, so they come in as members, non-voting members. And then we'll have associates. So people who come on board to filter out the infiltrators at branch level. They come on board initially as associates. And you guys change this if you want, but this is what we're putting on the table. So there'll be like a 3-month trial period where you can keep an eye on them and do a bit of background check at branch level. And if you're satisfied the guys or the women's possibly okay, you bring them on as a member. You can sack people in the drop of a hat, sack your branch organisers, sack the assembly. Democratic. If the assembly's not doing what you want it to do, put a democratic vote. We will encourage people to start acting professionally. So instead of just coming to the meetings going, no, I've got opinions. I don't care about opinions. If you've not backed opinions up with a solid argument, with facts and figures, they're meaningless. And this is something we need to teach people, because one of the things I think we've identified is that people tend to go out there and be full of opinions. We've all heard it before, all full of his opinions. Oh, my opinions, that's what. Well, on what basis? Well, it's just my opinion. Hot air. One of the things we will be doing at branch level is teaching people the trivium, where you learn the very basic principles. This is what the elite guys get, this is what the rich and famous get taught at school, the trivium. We don't get taught this for a reason. The trivium's logic, grammar and rhetoric, that's the one. Logic, grammar and rhetoric, I remember them. But the grammar means you get the ability. People ask me, what's the first thing I do if I want to get involved in this? What's the first thing I do? I say to them, go out there to a bookshop and buy yourself a secondary school grammar book and read that for 2 weeks. Okay? Once you've read a grammar book, you can now start reading properly, proper books. You can now start reading laws and acts and statutes to a certain extent. You can start writing letters. You can start understanding letters, because these guys are very good at grammar, making things mean the opposite. Right? So, and then using logic, you've got the ability now to filter out crap. You've got the ability to put together the good stuff. You've got the ability now to form arguments, proper arguments. And then with rhetoric, it teaches you the ability to deliver those arguments. Right? And you can win a debate knowing nothing about the subject once you know these rules. That if you doubt me, watch Question Time. Seriously. These little politicians, they'll stand there and talk for 5 minutes and you realise they haven't actually put anything on the table. They're very good at character assassinations and the Scotsman's arguments and all the various forms of argument. They're very good at it, but don't actually put anything on the table. And people who haven't been taught this stuff go, oh, that was interesting. Whereas people that actually know a wee bit about this will go, yeah, fallacious argument. Once you start learning the fallacious arguments, you become the house bored because you go, fallacious argument. Me and my wife do this to each other all the time. We don't argue much. me and my good lady. But yeah, so this is the stuff that we can take you forward to a level where you can sit down at council meetings and tear them to pieces. You will have the ability to sit down and go to police meetings, to go to set up your own branch. So if anyone has got something they want to put on the table for vote, right, I don't care what their opinion is. What you want for people, and this is good training for us all, me included, right, is you have to put together a formal proposal, professional like. You say, I propose we're going to change the name of the alliance to whatever you call it. And some people say, why is that? You say, okay, so you do like a 10-minute presentation, backed up by something, some marketing figures or something solid. They'll back up why we need to change it, and you present your argument and stand back and allow the people to vote for it. Is that not a professional way of doing things? And I think we all need to polish up that, myself included, we need to polish up how we present ourselves to the outside world, because how you present yourself, how you're seen by the outside world will reflect how much success you have. So the more professional you are about doing this, the more they will listen to you, seriously will listen to you. Okay, and there's nothing sweeter than winning an argument having not a clue what the subject is. I've done it. I tested it a few weeks ago there, and it was quite an incredible experience where I actually won an argument with a guy. I didn't have a clue what the subject was. I just beat him on just ability to argue. When you say argue, it's not like a domestic argument. Oh, you're a fat swine, and yeah. Argument is a proper word, right? It means where you present a motion, or you present a point, and you allow the other side to counterpoint. Then you counterpoint them, and then debate's a form of argument. So yes, this is the things we. If nothing else, you walk away from the union being better for knowing this stuff, right? And you've been demanding this at branch level, and people come in to cause trouble or sit there and they're all very negative. Oh, how I hate that. That's not going to work because blah blah blah. I've got a 2-word response, guys. If you are interested in union, 2 words. Okay? And we'll be blunt about it. At the end of the day, what else is on the table? Seriously. This time next year, you're going to be sitting there saying, I wish I'd done that. What if? Or you're going to be sitting saying, I've got my own union, or I've done my own thing. Where we're going to be in a year's time? We're all going to be sitting here again, meeting here, whinging and whining about how crap everything is, and how shit everything is, nobody listens to us. We haven't got the luxury of time. Time's running out, if it hasn't already run out, it's running out really, really, really quickly. The country has now been privatised. Everything's now run by private companies. Masquerading as, there's no such thing as a private company anymore, or a public company. There's public, private, there's private, public. If you look at judicial review process, there's no such thing as public and private companies anymore. There's such a grey blur over what these are, right? This has happened. So we don't have the luxury of time. You don't have the luxury of sitting and say, well, I'll give it 6 months to see what happens, see these guys pan out. right? This will work only upon how people committed to it, how many people get involved, how many hours you put to it, how many people you bring on board. This is what makes this work, right? A group of us down in Ashton, and there's a few other people around the country as well, putting this together. We're not going to achieve much on our own. We need bodies, we need people on board, we need minds, we need ideas, we need thoughts, we need, we need people getting involved. This is what's going to make this work. And there's so many things we can do. Here's some examples. One, tonight's been advertised as a fracking night, right? You're aware that the Charter of Paris 1990, and I just stumbled on this last night, this is just very quick research, UK signed up to this. We pledge to intensify our endeavours to protect and improve our environment in order to restore and maintain sound ecological balance in air, water and soil. That's just one treaty. The Charter of Paris, or one charter of 1990. I found loads more, right? There's the Sophia 1989 report, and it's all the representatives of various countries, including the Soviet Union, etc., etc. And it was all about reporting the conclusions and recommendations of the meeting on the protection of the environment of the Conference on Security and Cooperation in Europe. So the environment's built into that. How many people are arguing fracking from that direction? Right? This chap who David mentioned earlier on, I stumbled upon him a few days ago and I must admit I'm blown away because he's saying exactly the same we're saying from the States. They've been doing this for 13 years now and they've had huge results. Because what they do is, I explained earlier on about the council, the local authority rights that they give us, right, wherever they are. That's what they've told us our rights are. Why haven't we got more rights?
Why aren't we telling them?
Because we haven't told them we want more rights. That's not enough. We want these rights, we want that right, we want that right, and we want that right. And why the bloody hell is that right missing out of there? Because we've sat there complacently and allowed them to write that piece of crap, right? We need to be going in there, like these guys have done in the States, and manage to redraft large parts of the local town, county, whatever it is they've got, constitutions. And they've had some amazing results. One was where the big industrial agricultural company was trying to come in and take over all the farms in this one area. So what they did do is they got on board and they tabled a motion. They went publicised around the town. They put it out for a vote, petitions and votes, made a big thing about it. So they were forced to bring it on as a local bylaw or ordinance where only small businesses could operate farms in the vicinity. They actually brought that in as an ordinance. And they got that because people got together and said, we can do this. And they achieved it. Another one as well, they've had some results, again, talking about the fracking, they've had some results with the fracking because we're the union's not, the alliance is not against anything. God forbid we're against anything, we're for everything. However, right, for everything as long as it's done fairly and as long as we're aware of the risks and we've got the ability to make a decision on it, we're for everything, right? Full disclosure, that's exactly the phrase, full disclosure, public debate, informed public debate. We don't get many of them, none of them actually. None of this crap, you can't have a referendum because you don't know what you're voting for. That's a dictatorship by the way that does that.
Well, that's what we've got.
That's exactly what we've got. So, how they actually beat a lot of the fracking in these townships in America, there's 150 of them. United Nations is pushing a sustainability. I hate Agenda 21 with all my physical force. I hate Agenda 21. However, we've got a toolbox here. If there's a tool in it, use it. Why throw half the tools out before you start? Because your own prejudices, right? So sustainability, the councils in the constitution, you'll find it in your constitution now, it says that they've signed up to Agenda 21. They've actually removed it from our constitution this year because they're aware Agenda 21 carries a stigma now. They've called it something else now, it's EEEG or something now anyway. So they've removed, but they've still got the sustainability stuff in there, right? So is fracking a sustainable energy option?
No.
I would argue absolutely not. It's not sustainable. Is it sustainable to polluting groundwater for potentially tens of thousands of years for the purposes of 20, 30 years worth of energy? So is it sustainable? No. There you go. That's what you go for. Instead of being against something, we're now for it. We're for sustainable energy. So you've turned it now on its head. Sorry?
I'm for clean water. I'm fracking and clean water.
Well, we've got that second the water one, right? So instead of I'm against fracking, people don't like it. That doesn't sell, it's marketing, right? You never sell anything if it's against something, always before something. You're selling a dream, you're selling a vision, okay? So you're always got to be for something. Basic marketing, this is stuff you'll learn within the Alliance, right? We'll teach you how to market, okay? How to sell your ideas, how to sell your visions. So what we do is we say we're for sustainable energy. Absolutely we're for sustainable energy. However, we don't believe it's sustainable. You've now turned it around. You've now put the onus on them. So instead of you being against it and standing outside there banging on the window and shouting at them, you're now in the inside challenging them directly. Is that sustainable? Because if not, you're now in breach of your own charters. You're now in breach of your own constitutions. You're now in breach of your own codes of conduct. And that opens a lot of court cases up to us. So it's how we turn things round. Tony Blair taught us this how to spin. We turn things round now into the way it should be. So we're for sustainability. They're aware this is a weakness, by the way, sustainable energy thing. That's why they've called it something else. But we need to turn it back into a sustainable energy option, and I would say that's one way forward. Right, okay, so other ideas was, now, anything in your area, your local area, where you know you can get at least 51% of the people to agree with you and sign up saying that's great, I'm on board that one, yeah? We run with that. If it's anything that's less than 51% or anything we know the other side will try and tie us up into endless, unwinnable arguments, we avoid like the plague, right? We don't go for the stuff that's too hot, okay? Because they will tie us down. These guys go to university to learn how to do this, right? They will tie us down, so we avoid giving them volunteering problems that they can throw back at us, right? So we go for simple stuff that we know the majority of people will go for. So a few examples here, the guys have got ideas. One we put on the table was the allotments. We have an idea of all the green land. It's not been used for wildlife, owned by the council, that they want to sell on to the developer friends. We start putting allotments on them.
That's a good idea.
And a quarter of one of the deals is you get the allotment, and a quarter of the produce you put. This is up for vote at branch level, whatever you decide to do, your own local council. But proposing a table that a quarter of the produce you produce we give away free to the elderly. People are struggling. Instead of the council actually stealing our council tax money to create these food banks, that's theft of council tax money, by the way. Yeah, that's not what the council's there to do. Not saying about the people who need the food, but that's not. The council's now stepped way beyond any remit it has, right? However, we can step in and say we'll produce food for them. So there's a campaign you can do locally. It's good fun, that, isn't it? How many people sign up for that? Yeah, communities and yeah. How many people in your general community say, yeah, elderly people are unemployed, yeah, I'll chip in with that. It sounds like good fun.
Build communities as well, isn't it?
Get a shout of the house, you know. So we can do this, and we can get funding for it as well, because we're going to set the Alliance up initially as a charity. There's other options on the table we'll be pursuing. We'll set it up initially as a charity. I'm not a huge fan of charities, because most of the charities in the UK are now bent and actually private corporations masquerading as charities. And it's a tax dodge. There's a lot more to it than that, but yeah. But we will set ourselves up as a charity initially, just for simplicity's sake. However, we'll have other models to do other things. We'll have other vehicles. Again, this will all be open for you guys to vote on. The local level, again, we're not against council tax. Not a freeloader. I don't think anyone in this room is a freeloader. However, I think a fair council tax would be okay, wouldn't it? We ask them to account for every penny, no vagueness. Is there any stuff on there in that council tax that actually is voluntary? Is there any stuff? There is actually a big, I'll talk about it in a minute. Is there any stuff in the council tax that is actually selling politics rather than just providing local services? Why is the council doing anything rather than providing us local services? That's all I want from them. I don't want them in my life. I don't want to interfere with people's private family lives. So, I mean, this is obviously what we're looking for as a fair council tax. Who's going to disagree with that? I think we can get the vast majority of people in your areas agreeing, yeah, we want a fair council tax. Make the councillor, make the local authority accountable for the numbers that they're asking for council tax. How much of that council tax is going to a public pension fund? Let's get a number on there on the table. because they're hiding this from us. Let's get that on the table. How much of that money I'm paying you for local services actually ending up in a public pension pot?
A lot of it.
Yeah. How much of it is going to Europe? How much of it is getting gifted to places in Africa? Again, that's not the council's job. I have no problem if local people vote, yeah, we want to give so much money to Africa. Fantastic, that's charitable, of course we'll do that. However, I don't think I should get a gun held to my head to send money to Africa, especially families that are really, really struggling. I'd say there's as much poverty now in the UK as in some places in the UK as there is in places in Africa. So we're after what's fair. Just what's fair, that's all we're after. Other issues locally is transport. Are you aware that there's no actual UK anymore? The UK is just a geographical area. What we have now in England is 9 city-states. Now, I won't talk about this too much tonight, but please, please, please look it up, right? What we have in the UK now is city-states, okay? They call them city regions or unitary authorities, right? But they are city-states, right? Remember the old Greek model of the city-states. Greece was just a conglomeration of city-states. That's what they're doing here. What they're doing deliberately, and this comes from the European Union and private industry, is dismantling the nation-states deliberately and piecemeal and very quickly now, dismantling any sense of identity, any sense of culture. Despite all the crap about always support culture, and all this, it's nonsense. They're doing their damnedest to destroy it, right? What they want is a homogenous mass of assets, of workers, right, who don't identify with each other, who have got no allegiances or ties, because this benefits business models, doesn't it? It's very efficient for a corporation. It's inefficient to have people saying, I don't agree with that because I'll get views on it. So what we're trying to do is take it away from us, so we need to rebuild that back. So we do that. We have what's called an inherent right of local self-governance, right? There is an EU, there's a Council of Europe Charter. Sorry, it's a European Charter of 2007, I think it is, off the top of my head. It's called the European Charter of Local Self-Governance. Now, for those of you who really want to understand where this is all going wrong, now you think the government's just doing this strange stuff and we don't understand why, yeah? You want to understand why. 2 documents to read. One is Agenda 21 and the other one's the European Charter on Local Self-Governance, right? Once you read those documents, you'll understand exactly what the government's doing. It's not accidental. Everything is designed. It's all about dividing and conquering. I'm not saying that in a sort of glib way. Genuinely, they want to divide us and conquer us, okay? If you want another interesting exercise to see pictorially what's happening, go on Wikipedia, those who've got internet access, and do a search for blue banana. I know it sounds like a sex toy, but it's not, right? The blue banana. What this is, a group of people, I don't know who they are, no idea who they are, have got together and decided how we're going to live our lives, right? So what they've done is they've decided there's going to be an area which it's actually shaped and they colour it in blue, so it's blue banana. It starts in northern Italy, the very northern part of Italy, curves up through Europe, goes through sort of western Germany and east end of France, etc., Holland, Belgium, and then cuts across, hits London and hits Manchester, stops just north of Manchester. It's a big banana shape, right? And this is now called a high density population zones, right? It's also called a dense transport corridor. Cities now are known as nodes. How impersonal is this, right? They've actually identified us, believe it or not, as biological assets. Positive tax contributors. Yeah. Now, don't like bring the Nazi thing in, because obviously that's, it's political, but didn't the Nazis do that? They started, you're a positive tax contributor. What happens if you're a negative tax contributor? Yeah. You use this fodder. They've got all these different, we're human capital. Human capital. How degrading is that? This is why we called ourselves the Dignity Alliance. Human means the colour of man. Only a man or a woman or a child can have dignity. A corporation can't have dignity, by definition cannot have dignity. So by calling ourselves a Dignity Alliance, we are recognising that we are men and women and children. So, but look at the blue banana, and then you suddenly start understanding why Greece's economy was allowed to crash, why Spain's economy was allowed to crash, Italy, why the Baltic regions are the bugger all funding, because the majority of funding, the majority of the planning, the majority of all the infrastructure is going to take place in this blue banana, and they're going to empty the areas outside the blue banana of people and force them into this region, this dense transport corridor region. They're going to force everything there.
Rewilding.
Yes, well, we talk about rewilding and rewatering. Great phrases, this. I'm for bringing in areas for wildlife to live. Of course we're all for that, yes. However, I'd like some honesty on the table. I don't like unelected groups of whoever they are deciding for us what we can and cannot do. And I'd like an intelligent adult debate on the subject, informed debate on the subject, so we know what it is we're voting for. I don't think anyone would vote against that.
We don't mind social engineering as long as we're told this.
Yes, as long as it's done through democratic process. I think most people genuinely would work for that. However, it's the way it's done behind the scenes by outfits that have just decided this. And if you disagree with them, you find yourself in court because they've now invented laws, not to enforce justice, to enforce political policy. This is where the courts are now absolutely failing. And if you really want to get results, as Chris has found out, and I think Dave found out as well, if you have lost confidence in the courts, trust me, the HMCTS and the Ministry of Justice are genuinely terrified they've lost their public confidence in the court system. They are genuinely terrified. If you don't tell them you've lost confidence in the court system, they won't know. They can say, we didn't know. They'll use that defence. I didn't know. So I suggest all of you, if you genuinely think you've lost confidence in the public and the court system, genuinely write a letter to the Lord Chancellor and the Lord Chief Justice and personally tell them that because of your experience in the courts or experiences you've heard from other people or you've witnessed from other people, you have now lost confidence in the judiciary. I trust you, that gets results. Those letters get heard. Don't do petitions. The government has decided for every letter they write, that's worth 100 signatures in a petition. So I'd rather get 100 people writing letters, 1 2-line letters, than signing a petition. Yeah? So I need 100 people writing letters or 1,000 people signing a petition. I'll go for the letters. Okay? So you can be inventive with this, stand outside the court, have pre-drafted letters and give them to people. If you're not happy with the court experience you've got, sign there. Send on to Lord Chancellor, because they can't ignore us then. Shit, we've had 30,000 people, 50,000 people, 100,000 people, 1 million people telling us they've lost confidence in the justice system. That's you get their attention. Now, we've got very, very few things we can do, genuinely. We've got democratic process. If they choose to refuse the democratic process, there's 2 things we can do. We can remove our labour or remove our taxes. That's it. Anyone who thinks you can go in the streets and protest and do what they've done in Ukraine and all that stuff, you're handing them a gift. The guys want you to do that because they've got to maintain their state of emergency. And for those of you who don't think we're in a state of emergency, we are in a state of emergency. And I'll guarantee you now, a lot of the stuff that's happening just now has not been done by due process. It's been done on emergency law, emergency procedures, emergency orders. And if you want evidence of that, go on the MI5 website and look up the emergency index. And you'll find it's like 5 different levels of emergency from I forget what the bottom one is now, I really don't care too much. And it's up to severe, imminent attack and stuff, right? There's no level says, fuck all happening. Sorry for swearing, but there's nothing there says, nothing happening. Cricket's outside. There's nothing there. So what they've done now is they've created a state of emergency. Now we're not getting enough terrorists, enough bombers in this country apparently. We're not getting enough of them. We've rattled all the cages and the buggers aren't coming over here and blowing us up, right? So what they've had to do is they've had to invent a new enemy. And that enemy, for those who are religious, is the big man upstairs. Because apparently now rain is the new emergency. So the councils have got, the councils are drafted in as primary emergency service coordinators or something they're called. Anyway, but that's your local authorities. They've got all emergency things they can do. And the government can subvert complete democracy, can subvert the law, can subvert everything if it's done with the state of emergency. I've proven we're under a state of emergency. Check yourself on the MI5 website. Phone them up and ask them, is there such thing as a state of nothing happening? Ask them. Phone up. Phone will go down on you. So the where's it going with that? Yeah, so these guys are granting themselves these emergency powers. Why? Because we're not saying, hold on a minute, guys, this bugger all happening. This isn't unseen rain. We get heavy rain. What they've done now is they've got to create emergencies. They've got to create these destruction and devastation that they can go in there and ride in, waving their swords in there with their white armour on and save the day, and spend lots of money, make themselves very important, and build up their little fiefdoms and build up on their power, right? And when you disagree with me, go, but it's an emergency. We're going to shove you in jail because it's an emergency. How dare you challenge this? Yeah. So be aware. This is what they've done now. They've not enough terrorists out there, so they've done. They've invented this climate change, global warming. What is it called this week? Anyway, they've invented this thing, right? Not invented, they've exaggerated it beyond all proportions. This man-made climate change, however, is infinitesimal. What these guys have done is they've expanded it into the realms of cuckoo land, how much of an impact it is. And you can check the facts and figures yourself on that. But they've done this for a reason, political reason, right? They don't give a shit about the environment. And if you start reading up on the proper sustainability and start looking into the roots of where sustainability come from, you'll find that sustainability is all about commercial sustainability. It's not about the environment. It's nothing about the environment. It's just puppy dogs and teddy and polar bear cubs, and baby seals. To put a front up, so if you attack them, you're attacked, so you hate polar bear cubs. No, not at all. But this is what they do. This is the dirty tricks they'll do to divert proper, intelligent adult discourse on a very important subject. And most people fall for it, unfortunately, because most people are idiots. And I used to be, I'm still am to a certain extent, I think most of us are to a certain extent. However, you've got to be able to sit back and analyse what exactly is happening and understand the processes they're using to be able to counter them. And when you're up against some mong in the street, right, giving you crap, well, I don't believe that, I don't really care what people believe. Belief is when you suspend fact and reason. That's what the word believe means, is a suspension of fact and reason, yeah? So somebody stands there, I believe this, I believe that. Just walk away from them, waste of time, right? But you can start arguing back with them if you so desire, if you want to waste your time, by pointing out there's actually a political element of this, because they're using this now to take away our freedoms and our rights. Now, what we need to do is start taking back our own rights. I'll finish up shortly. Quickly looking through what corporate rights are. Now, human rights, you've heard of human rights. A human's not a real man or a woman, it's a fiction. It's sort of a man. Hue means colour. It's the colour of man. Like colour of law is not real law. The acts and statutes are colour of law, they're not real law. So you've got human rights, you've got your natural rights, you've got your inherent rights. There's always different rights we have. But I was looking at tonight about corporate rights, and this American chap's talking about. I do like what he's saying. Hear what corporate rights are. Now think about your own council, your local authority, and I say this stuff, right? The right to a common, think about the national government now as well. This is for private companies. This is private company law. Okay, this isn't public, private company law. Corporate rights is the right to a common treasury. It's the right to own property, the right to a corporate seal, the right to make and sign contracts, the right to sue and be sued, the right to enforce contracts, the right to hire agents and employees, the right to self-governance, and the right to make bylaws. For bylaws reads acts and statutes. Doesn't that sound like the government? There's your evidence of private company.
Afforded to man.
Yeah.
So bylaw, by definition, means it's a corporate law.
By means it goes near, but it's not there, it doesn't touch it. So if you drive by somewhere, you're not going through it, you're not actually touching the town, you're just going, you don't actually touch it, you go near it.
So nearly what? Nearly what is?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one, yeah. In-laws and bylaws. There's once you start reading grammar, you'll understand there's a very big but subtle difference there, huge subtle difference. Judges are a judges at law, not a judge in law. I'm not going to explain that to you. Go and get a grammar book and find that one out. Why is it a judge? Why is it a barrister at law? Why is it not a barrister in law? It's a very interesting exercise to look up. You'll understand. You go, wow.
Practically, that's the bar.
Find out. Why is he a barrister at law, not a barrister in law? Why have you got a mother-in-law, not a mother-at-law? Right, so that's corporate rights. I'm not interested in corporate rights. That's for private businesses.
I wrote to John Howard because there's a problem in the mum's bed with the dogs. The dogs are going in the graveyard. He said you can't prove the bylaw in court. That was from John Howard.
Yeah. Bylaws are private business laws.
He actually wrote it when he
I mean, I could go into a lot more depth for this, guys. I really can. I can talk about Burgess's rights, and that's a really need to look at. The 1972 Local Government Act gave us all, it's in your local royal charters that replaced the old ones in 1974, and it says in there that you're given the rights and privileges of Burgesses. It says in there. That's not a place you want to be. It doesn't say you are a Burgess. And again, do your own research. If you don't know what a Burgess is, get a dictionary, look it up, right? Burgesses are very important because towns are towns are where Burgesses are created in towns, yeah. And as a Burgess, it means that you operate your own business in that town. If you operate a business, you have to pay taxes. So by making us all Burgesses, our houses become workshops and storerooms and warehouses. That's a very clever trick they've done, but it doesn't actually make us Burgesses. It just says we've got the same rights and privileges as Burgesses. It doesn't actually say we are Burgesses, yeah? Very clever little trick they've done there. Right, so anyway, I can't emphasise strongly enough, this guy says it far more eloquently than I can, and in a better accent. If you look up the community rights movement in America, and I can't believe these guys have been doing for 13 odd years now, what we're going to start now, what we're starting now, yeah? And in America, they've called it community rights movement. I've got a problem with the 3 words community rights and movement, I'll be honest with you. I'm really not happy with the 3 words. So I'm still happy we stayed with Dignity Alliance. I think that's saying the proper message. And the chap's name's Paul Cienfuegos. So it's Cienfuegos, Paul Cienfuegos. But if you just look up the community rights movement and look at the work they've done, it's incredible, right? They actually go in there and force the council to change. Now, one of the things he does do is he wants rights added. Now, I've shown you the constitution for Wigan there, right? The paltry number of rights we enjoy under Wigan. Basically, do what you're told and shut up, right? We start getting in there now as the Alliance and getting more rights put in that thing. Yeah, it's as simple as that. We want a right to clean water. We want a right to not have our water supply contaminated. We want a right to not have whatever you want. You know, to have our green spaces made available for the public. We want a right to stop developers taking over public space to build houses on it for the council to make back money. It's very short-termism. We want the right to be recognised as a man or woman by the council, the local authority. We want the right to, whatever rights you want, you create your rights, right? Your local branches, your own local authorities. Look at the rights they've got in the Constitution. Get outraged, not angry, but get outraged. Get people together. And what an easy sell to that one is. Why doesn't that say we've got a right? Pick one of the rights of this. Any one of these rights, the Universal Declaration. Why are they not in there? Why doesn't it say in there we enjoy human rights? Why doesn't it say in there we enjoy these rights? Why doesn't it say in there we enjoy English constitutional rights? Or in Scotland, Scottish constitutional rights? Why doesn't it say that in there? It's a private business. So we can expose them as in private businesses. What we can do is we can turn them back into public businesses, where we actually become more powerful, the public side of things, by forcing to change a constitution. And it's so easy to do. The problem is most people are too busy reading rubbish on the internet, to be honest. Most of the stuff on the internet is absolute tripe, yeah?
Rob,
read books.
Is it a useful exercise to ask for a constitution?
Yes. I'm just going to say that. Go onto your council website and ask. Go onto your council website and do a search for the constitution. If the constitution is not there, what do you do next? You go into the council, kick your front door off its hinges and demand why the hell the constitution isn't ever publicly available for free on the internet, on their website.
Go to the town hall and ask.
Yeah, don't ask. Stop asking. Tell them. This is what you're doing as a union. Tell them. Stop asking. Children ask. Servants ask. We're not servants.
applies to parish councils as well?
Why not? Yes, that's what the Constitution is. I've not done that myself, but it's a good idea. We'll also, I've got a lady who's very knowledgeable in parish councils, who's advising the parish councils. She's told us we need to go in there and take over these parish councils. They hold vastly more power than we think they have. And something I came across, if an area doesn't have a parish council, it means at some point in the past they didn't bother forming one. So what happens is your local town council or borough council will take that and they'll have their own little private meeting and decide on behalf of the parish what's going to be happening. And that is one of the precepts and authorities for council tax, by the way. So if you want to challenge, get a fair council tax, we take over the parish councils and we start telling the borough council this is what we think is a fair council tax. The other one, by the way, is the fire authority and the police authority. Yeah. And there's one council, I just found out last week there's one council and the fire authority. I thought fire authority dealt with fire and floods and that other stuff. No, it's you get the fire and emergency rescue service, and then you get the fire and civil defence authority. Civil defence, remember I was talking about emergency powers? That's what their job is. You've also got the police service or the police force. They won't let you know why it's called force, by the way. I've tried that. But they've also got they've got the police authority. Authority? Where does that authority come from? First question you should be asking. You say your authority, prove it. Because there's a lot of presumption going on there, isn't there? We've got an authority. Really? I thought I was the authority. I thought we were the authority. When did these people become the authority?
Well, you said taking over parish councils is easier said than done. How would you go about doing that?
I'll tell you, most parish councils get in with, and people take very little interest in it, so just with very few votes you can take over a parish council. With very few votes. And we've got up and down the country people doing that, taking over parish councils. For example, where I live, there is no parish council. Right? Nobody formed one years ago, so the borough council does what it wants with that now. So what you do is you actually tell the borough council, you get a local petition up, and what you do is you reinvent the parish council and bring the parish council back to life again. But you've got to sell why you're doing it to the people, haven't you? There's no point saying I want to sell a parish council. You need to say why you want a parish council. Well, we're not happy with this, we're not happy with that, so we're going to set the parish council up to challenge this development, or the fact they're not building this road, or the fact that they are building that road, or whatever suits you locally. We can do this. However, we've got people coming on board who've got lots of experience at the parish council level who will explain all. So we've got some really good brains coming on board with this one. But I hadn't even looked at parish councils with an option, but I've been told this is where we need to be. Right? We can also stand as councillors, okay, independent councillors. I've spoken to some of the independent councillors in my area. Oh my good God, these people know nothing. You know more tonight from listening to me talking than most of my local independent councillors know. And these guys are making decisions. They're not allowed into meetings, they're not allowed access to information. Right? We can do that. But all I want in the Constitution, I really don't want to get involved in government because it's dirty and I really can't be bothered getting there. I just want to know that the council recognises the rights I want them to recognise. And same with all of you. You need to make sure your local council does recognise that the government starts recognising it, that the bloody courts start recognising it, that these people start applying. Here's an easy one for you. Everyone out there doing a public or a private job has to comply with their code of conduct. Yeah? They all have to follow a quality assurance process in the bigger companies. They have to follow a quality assurance process. They've all got insurance and bonds regarding their conduct. Right? What you do is you write, and they've all got to follow their job descriptions, and they've all got to follow their company policies or their company constitutions. They must follow those documents. The minute they step foot outside those documents, even that much, they're no longer an employee of that business, and you've got them in a personal claim. People don't know this. This is the weakness. Now, these guys have got away with this for years, stepping outside the codes of conduct. Most of them can't even tell you what their job description is. In fact, I'm telling you this because I've seen it firsthand. They can't tell you what their job description is. So what you do is you write to them and say, I want a copy of your job description. So if somebody writes to you from anybody, you say, well, beforehand, I haven't identified you yet. I need a copy of your job description, company policy. I need a copy of your code of conduct and your governing body, who your governing body is. Then I know who you are, and I know what your authority is. and you step even slightly out of that, I'm going to fuck you in court. And sorry for the phrase, this is how you talk to them guys, right? You step even slightly, because I'll guarantee you most of these people we deal with are way outside these documents, way outside the code of conduct. So the backside of you. So this is how we need to start speaking to these people. And once they realise we're going to hold them to the codes of conduct, you'll find in the Constitution it says they've got to comply with the Human Rights Act. I'm not a huge fan of it. However, Section 4, I believe it is, says all forms of slavery shall be abolished. That whole document, I'm not interested in the rest of it, that's the one that I want. You can also choose the Section 6, which is the right to a fair and impartial hearing. There's another one if you want, the rest of it you can pin. But this is stuff we can pin them down to. It's very, very easy, guys. You're not going to cause trouble, there's no risk attached to this. You're not going to be, nobody's going to be swearing at you or shouting at you. You have every reason. Because if you don't do your due diligence, what's called due diligence, you're running a business called Mr. or Mrs. or Miss or whatever, you know, whatever the legal name is. You're running a business. You're the directing mind of that business. I talked earlier on about the directing mind, yeah? You're the directing mind of that business. If you aren't doing your job properly and checking who you're doing business with, who you're contracting with, and you find out that they've stepped out of line, you're responsible because you should have checked. This is case law. This is basic case law. You should have checked. A competent person would have checked. And if these guys say, I'm not going to provide that information, you must deal with me. No, don't. So you're now refusing to allow me to do my due diligence. Trust me, they will not challenge it. They will not challenge it. This is easy stuff. We can go a lot deeper. I'm not going to do it tonight. We can go a lot deeper. But you can start having fun just now. Anytime you get a bill or anyone from anybody talks their rights to you now, just even if you don't agree with them, just say, before I can reply back, I need you to identify yourself formally to me. I want a copy of a job description, a copy of company policy, a copy of code of conduct, anything else you want as well. But those three documents will pretty much identify them. So now you know what their authority is. The word author, authority, written. Right? So somebody says an authority, show me the written document proving that authority. And that stands as much for the individual as it does for the body. Okay? Interesting exercise, write to your council, your local authority, and ask them to prove they have authority over you. Just see what comes back. This is your exercise, guys. I've done it. I know what the answer is going to be. Finish up there, yeah? Yeah. So have a bit of fun with this. Start using this stuff, right? Seriously, it's so much fun with this. Because I don't have to provide that information to you. You do. Because if you don't, I'm making a formal complaint to your boss. And by the way, not giving information, you're in breach of your company policy. Right? It's only take a case against your company. So this stuff we can have fun with, and it's very low risk. We can have much more fun, right? This is going to be fun. This alliance is going to be fun, right? We need to make it fun. It's going to be hilarious. There's going to be days we sit there, it'll be hilarious. But it's what we put into it, what you guys want to put into it. Okay?
What's the website?
Right, the Alliance website will be either Dignity Alliance, one word, dignityalliance.com or .org or .co.uk. Right, I'll be up and running in a week or so's time once we sort the technical issues out. We'll have the website up and running. I do not want this to be a website exercise. I don't want people sitting in forums or Facebook or any of that crap, wasting their time, sitting there keyboard warriors. We don't need keyboard warriors. If you want to sit there on the website whinging at each other, do it. Just keep away from the union, keep away from the alliance. Waste your time doing that, right? We need boots on the ground, we need doers, we need shakers, we need people that are prepared to get involved, have a laugh. Right? This will be the best networking exercise you'll ever have. It's going to be incredible, and you'll meet some of the most incredible people going. We have, can't say too much at the moment, but there will be celebrities coming on board. Right? We need to build up some credibility first. And if we bring the credibility up, I know for definite, I've spoken to some, right, who will come on board. It's just at the moment we need to build the credibility up, right? That means non-political, it means having fun, it means being good guys. It means, saying the right things and delivering the right message and being democratic and accountable, all that good stuff. We need to deliver it and we can make this work. So, on that basis, any questions before I go? Is any other guys getting to say before I...
I'd like to just add that democracy is not just about putting an X in a box once every 5 years. Democracy should be about every day getting involved.
Ron, not exactly a question, but somebody I know very, very well who's had considerable success with unscrewing and disposing of car park signs.
Yes. Criminal damage.
I would,
Yeah. That's criminal damage.
criminal damage.
I wouldn't for 1 minute I'd promote that as being an option, right? Publicly. Okay? Yeah.
Hey,
That's what you're saying.
you say you're non-political. Well, politics only means policy, and you've been talking policy all the time. You can't say you're non-political. Because if you're talking policy, you're arguing policy.
Yeah, no, sorry, what I mean is we're not going to follow the traditional
You're not
left-right
party
paradigm.
politics, you're not party
We're not party politics, sorry, yeah.
Definitely politics,
Thank you, yes.
because you've been talking it all night.
Yeah, we're not party politics, sorry, correction there, correct, good point. Anyone else? No, we're not a political party. No, not a political party. We can bend, if we get the people on board, we will have the power to sack MPs if they don't bend to our will, if they don't represent the majority of people. That's how we can get our voice heard. Not going to involve in politics, just we can influence MPs. Yeah. Yeah, if anyone's interested, by the way, expressing interest, I say this is all going to be kept private, yeah. If anyone's interested, as soon as we get a website up and running, we can send you an email and let you know it's up and running, and you can start contributing to this and getting involved in the debate, right? Two things you can do is one, give us your name, telephone number, email address, whatever you want, yeah. And also, if you want to come to the meetings, we meet in Ashton every Wednesday from 7:30. Ashton and Makerfield, near Haydock. We're 2 minutes off the M6. It's in the Fleece Pub on Warrington Road. It's literally just off the 2 minutes off the M6, one single road, very easy to find. And we're upstairs in the Fleece every Wednesday night from 7:30, Warrington Road in Ashton and Makerfield, yeah. So turn up and get involved in the debate. If you're interested in getting your voice into what we're talking about, can put your ideas on the table, just turn up, guys. You're welcome, everybody's welcome, yeah. So, on that basis, thank you very much for coming tonight, guys.
Mr. Robbie, everybody. Thank you.